Hi, this is Dory from Prairie Scraps, and I'm glad you joined me today. I am going to do another Make It DIY on gnomes. And before I did a really popular video on how to make my sock gnomes out of the Dollar Tree socks. And so today I've been looking for another way to make gnomes like as ornaments that were cute, but yet just as inexpensive as making the Dollar Tree ones. And this one doesn't really have a Dollar Tree item on it at all, but it's super inexpensive. So this is the ornament that I've been making, and I've got some red ones, I've got some cute little blue ones. They each kind of end up a little bit different. I like to make their little mustaches go out so they look like they have a mustache. So today I'm going to show you how to do this. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel and leave any comments with questions. I'm making these for my craft fairs coming up this fall for Christmas. Actually not this fall, it should be in November, December. I have craft fairs. So what you need to make this is actually some felt, and I just this time bought the sheets. I know you can get them by the yard, but seriously, like Walmart carries these for like 23 cents or 25 cents a piece. And I can get 4 of the ornaments out of one piece, and I still have several pretty good sized scraps left when I'm done cutting them out. You will also need to have some sort of decorations. If you'd like to put on their hat, you don't have to. I used a little bit of ribbon. I've used some of the twine. You will need the twine for sure. I just get that at Walmart as well. Twine. Oops, I guess it's upside down. It's just the standard stuff. Doesn't have to be, it's the jute twine. Doesn't have to be anything really fancy. I also am using for the nose, you could use a button if you wanted or anything you really wanted, but I am using these little wood beads, and these are 10mm beads, and I can leave a link on the beads that I got. I got all kinds of different ones. So that's the beads I'm using, little wood beads for the nose. And then, and then the fur. So I buy the fur, 1/4 yard of fur. I got this from Joann's Fabric. You can get all different colors. I'm excited to get another color because I'm getting kind of sick, but you can see last year I made about 25 gnomes, and I still have quite a bit. I would say maybe half a yard left. Maybe a whole yard, just because it's side to side. So I ordered, you get 1/4 yard, which is from here to here. The other things that you'll need is a hot glue gun, of course, for all the crafting, hot glue guns and your glue. You will also need to have a scissors and an X-Acto knife. I think that's it. Oh, the secret to the biggest dilemma I had was a lot of people were using like spools, you know, wooden spools they bought to make the bases for these, and those are kind of expensive. I also saw somebody else was using like rounds they bought at the craft store, like wood rounds. First of all, I couldn't find any in the stores I could go to. I'm kind of limited with my injury right now, so I can only go into Walmart myself, and I can't seem to find what I want online. I'm kind of an in-person person, so it was hard for me to pick it out online. So anyway, so I was looking for a base, and the base that I've used for these are my old canning jar lids. So you can see this is an old one. I put them through the dishwasher so they are clean. There's no food residue or anything. You're not going to be eating this. You can't reuse them. I always run them through the dishwasher and keep them, because then I use them on the jars when they go away into storage so that they stay clean on the inside. But when I take them off in the fall, then I always have these laying all over the place. So that's what I decided to use for a base. So the first thing you want to do is cut out the beard. And I think I had this guy's beard cut out. I don't know where the rest of his beard went, darn it. But anyway, so the way to cut out the beards is you want to, first of all, make sure that it's going the correct direction, and you want the point to be going to the bottom where it hangs. So you kind of want to look at it and do that. And you're going to want to do like an X-Acto knife. My X-Acto knife is pretty dull. I need to get a new one, so don't do as I say, not what I do. And so what you do is, oh, they're both there. Okay, so you're just going to cut out like a triangle. It doesn't matter. This one's got kind of a shorty because it ended up being at the bottom of the fabric line, and I didn't want to waste, and I don't know, I didn't want to cut it in anymore. So anyway, he's got kind of a shorty little end to his, and I just eyeball it. And when you cut the flannel or the fur, what you want to do is, first of all, what I do is I put this down on it, so I have a little bit on either side that I can wrap around this where I want to put the beard, and that's where I start my corners for cutting the, I might be going the wrong direction, for cutting out, I don't know if I can get one out of this little piece or not, but for cutting out the triangle. The biggest part of the triangle is going to be on the top part of the beard, and of course the little point is the bottom. And you just want to sit and score, sorry, I guess I'm really close. You just want to score on the back side. You're not actually cutting the fur. If you cut the fur, it's just going to make a great big mess. It does make a little bit of a mess, but not too bad. And you just cut on the back. It sounds horrible. It's kind of like fingernails on a chalkboard, so I apologize for that. And just take your time. I don't even do it on a board because you don't want to go all the way through. You just want to get, and I try to use every little scrap, but I haven't exactly figured out how to use every single scrap of the fur because you want the fur to go a certain direction. So I just keep setting and making little piles of all these extra fur I have. And then you cut straight across. There's just not really anything fancy about it. That doesn't have to be exactly perfectly straight, but that's what you're going to do, is just cut that triangle across the top. So what you end up with, sorry, my hand is kind of in the way, but with the X-Acto knife, anyway, you'll cut just right across. So the back side looks like this, and the front side looks like this. You want that beard going in the downward. The other thing I've been doing is going and piecing together a little piece, like a kind of a rectangular piece. This is from one of my other scraps, so it doesn't really matter. A piece, like a rectangular piece to go on the top that I can part and make into his little mustache. So that's going to be an added piece. Okay, so with your scissors, you're going to go ahead and cut from your felt. I do this also all very imaginary. So some of them end up with tall hats, some end up with short squatty. But what I do is I use this long end. So I fold it into 4 kind of to get my idea of where I'm going to be cutting. But I use this long end as the bottom end of the cap. And the biggest thing you want to do is make sure that, again, you can get this all the way over around to the back side with a hat. So can you see how I have that over? So what you would do is kind of imagine halfway and I do kind of just a squatty triangle. Nothing precise or fancy. So like I said, some of them end up being bigger, some end up smaller, and that's what we do. Okay, so there you go. That's kind of the piece. I cut this piece out earlier. And then what you're going to do is take a piece of twine, and I would say about maybe 8 to 10 inches, maybe about 8 inches, and I cut that. I just look and see what I want for my hanger, and I just take it and put a knot in the end so I can glue that inside of that hat. And I usually do this right off the bat because I've made those and then I lose it in my scrapping pile. So I just go ahead, and like I said, I can get 4 hats out, and I've been working on 4 gnomes at a time. And I just put that right down in the middle of the peak of the triangle. So you can see that. So that's right down in the middle. Careful because it's hot. I still need those little finger things. I've never seen them at Dollar Tree like somebody suggested. I would love to have a set, but just haven't found them. And right now I'm not shopping, so there you go. Okay, so I'm going to go revert back to this red one to do this. And where did I lost my beard. Had a nice one cut out. Okay, so I have my my base, and all I do is I put a little bit of hot glue kind of across the middle. And this gets really hot. You can see I'm smoking. This metal lid gets super hot, so be careful when you're doing this. And I just put it down on the front, just like that, right over my pinto beans. Oops, sorry for the glare. There you go. Don't worry about that. It won't be seen, most likely. I guess I could have taken it off. I'm not really super worried. And then I take that little rectangle that I split in half. You see that? And I just run a part of the glue right across this top edge and then put the mustache on there where I want it. And again, be careful because it's hot. I go between, it is a cool and hot, and the cool on this one doesn't work very well. Then I try to get my mustache to kind of be parted at this point because I want it to be, you know, where I'm trying to figure out where the nose is going to go. So I'm going to put the nose right here in the middle. I'm just going to take one of those beads and I try to stick, I put the glue actually on the fur. It's probably not the best because it does kind of lift up the fur a little bit, but that helps me to kind of set the bead how I want it. I try to set the bead so that where the bottom part of the nose is, even though a nose has two holes, he's only going to have one hole in the bead. So I try to put that bottom one kind of tilting downwards, but not too far so that you can see the top hole. And then I put it in that glue and just hold it there until I get it exactly where I want. And then that hot glue will kind of seep through all that hair and get in there. Okay, so the next part is putting the hat on. And so what I do is I usually start, I found that if I don't glue right at the top tip first and do that part of the roll, it kind of ends up messy. So this you want to kind of roll onto there and flip in. And this is probably the hardest part, not to get burned in. The other reason I want to do this is because I might have to adjust the hat. Whoops, I just glued down to the table, no big deal. You want to make sure that the hat is going to go all the way around like this. And most of my hats have been able to be closed, and I even kind of squeeze them on. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. And then I look at the back, make sure. You could see that my triangle isn't going, I just not wanted to waste too much. So my triangle is kind of going to be like that to get it to go on. And so I'm going to finish gluing that edge up, maybe, if I don't hurt myself. And get that on there like I want it. And of course, this is all a lot easier to do neatly when you're not talking on video. So there you go. That's what I have. Sorry if I went off. Oh, the other part I try to do is I try to roll this beard on the back side. I'll put a little dab right there. I take my X-Acto knife. This is how come my X-Acto knife has all kinds of glue on it. And push the edge of that beard onto it so that you don't see the canning jar from the front at all. And then the canning lid, and then a little bit here. I'm not sure this one's going to reach around. I maybe messed this one up a little bit, but that's okay. I think I might. Yeah, it's not gonna work as well on the other side. I got it on there crooked. I'm always trying to. You could use a lot more materials, and you could maybe even put some on the back. I don't know. I guess you could make it even double-sided. I'm always trying to make sure I don't overuse materials, and sometimes I chintz it up a little because I'm doing that. All right, so that's going to have to do. Then the first thing you want to do on the front when you're putting the hat is go ahead and get right around that nose. That's the most important part. You kind of want it to, you can see it's still, the nice thing about the hot glue is that it does give you some time to work with it to get it in the right place. And so I'm going to push that down. Oops, he's going to have a crooked hat a little bit. Blah. I try to pull down from the side so I don't get into that glue. And I'll try to push that down. Ooh, there, and it popped out. You can see I got a little bit popped out there around the nose, and that's not what I wanted. So I will probably, as soon as the glue dries, I'll go in there with an X-Acto knife. You could see I got a little bit of it seeping out underneath the hat. I'll just go back in and I'll just kind of cut that out of there. but I found if you try to do it while it's still wet, it makes a big goobery mess. So I'm going to just finish up this back side. And what I try to do, especially on the back side, is pull it down really well, because that gets it down on the front too. And this one's actually going to go to the end here, which might actually finish it off kind of nice a little bit. And then I'm gonna get distracted by a car outside. There's a guy, one of the guys at my husband's shop is working on a car, but I saw a guy hanging out in his uniform out of the car, and I thought it was my husband driving by. But anyway, so that is the little gnome, and like I said, as soon as this is still pretty hot there, I'll pull that. Well, maybe I can get it now. That is still, and I might actually, depending, I might just go in and trim it with my scissors, that little bit of glue, so it's not there. There. That actually worked out pretty good. So I try to get rid of all those glue pieces. You know how that is. And then this one, to decorate, you don't have to decorate the hats, but I like to put a little extra decoration. I don't know. The hat just looks a little, for some reason, here's that at this point. You could totally do these like this, at this level, like that. And you can see here's the back side of that. A little bit of that canning lid does show out, but I don't think it really makes a big difference. I did debate using some of those pieces of the felt and maybe just covering the rest of the way on the back, just putting a circle piece there or something, but I don't know if I'm going to bother. It's kind of cute the way it is. Put in the comments what you think I should do, especially if I'm selling them. Should I go ahead and finish that off on the back? And I suppose I should. It wouldn't be that hard to finish off. I could easily just put a little piece, like a little square down there, and just finish it off like it should be, right? Of course, I can't cut a square to save my life, so there you go. Will that work? Maybe. But then I hate that. You almost have to have a circle. I'm trying. Okay, so I'm going to just do that on this one so you can see it'll totally, absolutely hide that canning jar. I think it makes it kind of fun that we're using a canning jar. But you could do this to close it off. And like I said, if you were a little less cheap like I am on the hats, maybe the hat would wrap around all the way. And I've made them with the hat all the way, but like I said, I was kind of, I don't know. I decided I'd rather get 4 out of it than 2 out of the sheet. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever made bows without having to have it on something, but I've learned this. You just make the first loop, the first rabbit ear, wrap it around, shove it through, and you can make yours. I always leave my end not cut with the scissors until I have the bow made how I want it to look, because then I don't have any waste, or very little waste. So I'll probably cut off just a smidgen of this, and then there you go. So I made this cute little bow just right in my hands, and as you can tell, I probably made hundreds, thousands of them, so it goes pretty quick for me. Little dab of hot glue there, and I put that on. You could put a little button on there. You could put a little jingle bell on there, whatever you want to dress it up. You could put little greens on there. I've been asking my kids to kind of go through my craft supplies and see if they could find some greens to put on the hat, and guess what? They have no idea what I'm talking about, so there you go. You do with what you have sometimes. So there's my little gnome Christmas ornament, and you can see the back of that now that I have that finished up. I don't know. Give me suggestions for the back. Maybe there's a good way to do it. Tell me if you think I should finish them up like that or not, or what I should do. Seems like everyone, because I'm freehanding it, everyone's kind of coming out different. So maybe I should, that's probably the key. Maybe I should figure out what size I need and then stick with it and just use a pattern. But you know, sometimes I like to just do that. So again, it's Prairie Scraps. It's Making It Monday today. I'm making the gnomes, and I hope, let me know if you made them, if you found a better way. I'd love to see them. I definitely do lots of research on Pinterest and everything. It's not necessarily a new idea, but I thought the using the canning lid, also this is a lot lighter than some of the wood thing options to hang on the tree as well. So and for those of you who are wondering what I would charge for it, I'm thinking about charging $4 a piece for them because they are pretty good size. You can see it on my hand. It's bigger than my hand. So so those are my gnomes. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.